Hey guys, my name is Matsimio, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from a lot of you, and that was that you wanted my thoughts on the fact that it looks like Glaz is going to be getting some sort of thermal or iron V-scope in the upcoming mid-season patch. Well, first of all, if you're not aware, it does look like Glaz is going to be getting an upgrade in this upcoming patch. Ubisoft tweeted out a short little video, it was directly from the Rainbow Six Siege Twitter, so we know it's legit, where Glaz peers through his scope, and when he looks at an enemy, it looked like they were glowing. And so right off the bat, I have a feeling that this is going to be a significant upgrade to Glaz. Not only because it just makes finding window peekers a lot easier, you don't have to methodically look at every single broken window to see if there's any movement there, but also it's just going to make it a lot faster to acquire targets when you're in the map itself, when you're inside of the building. If you peer through your scope and it takes you a split second to figure out, oh, that's actually a player in that little nook who's kind of hiding behind a lot of objects, you don't have that weakness anymore. Everything's gonna stick out like a sore thumb, and so as soon as you see anything bright or anything that's lighting up, you can just switch on over and hopefully get that headshots. And so just from that standpoint, I think this is gonna be a great thing for Glaz mains. Now, what we don't know about yet, though, and some people are speculating, is that this may actually work like a thermal scope, and you might be able to see through smoke grenades. Now, if this is true, that is going to be a game changer. I mean, acquiring your target is one thing, but being able to see through smoke where the defensive team can't see through said smoke, like that's going to have a dramatic impact on the way that we play Rainbow Six Siege. I can already think of a lot of situations. I mean, right off the bat, if you kind of have an idea that an enemy is in a hallway, well, just throw the smoke down and then peer through your scope, enter the hallway. They can't see you, you can see them, land an easy headshots. You can take it a step further though. Planting the objective, if you're playing on bomb for example, just became a hell of a lot easier if you have a Glaz on your team. Have a Monty, or you don't even need a Monty at this point. Throw a bunch of smokes onto the objective, have the person plant, and just have Glaz watching outside of the window or outside of the large opening if you're playing on house for example, in garage. Just have him watch through his scope and take out anyone that peers or makes their way to try to defend said objective. That is going to be impossible to deal with unless you have some large explosive device. And so I don't know how I feel about this theory. Once again, nothing has been confirmed. This is just speculation. People are just thinking, oh, if it's a thermal scope, maybe it has this capability as well, like other video games and in real life. But if that is the case, that could elevate him to being one of the more annoying operators, and honestly one of the more powerful operators if you are cooperating with your team. And so at least for me personally, I'm not 100% sold on this idea, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers that this isn't the case. I don't like the idea of having someone being able to see me, but I can't see them. That just doesn't sound like a fun gameplay experience. Now, if an enemy team has a Glaz and you see smoke anywhere, you're gonna freak out. You're not gonna wanna peek, you're not gonna wanna move or do anything because there's the goddamn smoke monster and he's gonna be able to take you down no problem, and there's no real way for you to retaliate. And while I know that some people will just say, oh, wait for the smoke to dissipate, stop being a negative Nancy, it doesn't last that long. But once again, if the offensive team is coordinating, they run an Ash, they have multiple operators that have access to that grenade type, they're just gonna continuously throw that onto the objective while the bomb is planted. And what are you going to do about that? I mean, yeah, maybe Jaeger, but if they take care of the Jaeger devices, like that just sounds like a nightmare. And so at least for me personally, and this is just my 2 cents, I'm kind of hoping that this thermal scope or iron V-scope, whatever it is just for acquiring targets and doesn't have this smoke grenade mechanic. And so let me know what you guys think about this update. Are you excited? Do you think that Glaz should have the ability to peer through smoke? You think that that would add an interesting and new dynamic into Rainbow Six Siege? Are you not entirely sold on that idea? Let me know down below. The next question is, what do you think about IQ being able to use her primary weapon while using her gadget? They could do this by changing it from a wrist-mounted device to something like a visor. I feel like this could make her somewhat more viable. Yeah, I am completely on board with this idea. The fact that we now have Jackal, who can use his amazing assault rifle in tandem with his gadget at all times. And while yes, I know that it does have the downside where if he gets shot at while he's using his gadget, it will cause his screen to fuzz a bit and make it harder for him to acquire and take down his targets. But the fact that he can do this in tandem with his assault rifle, why isn't that possible for IQ? Some would even argue that Jackal's gadget is even more powerful than IQ's a majority of the time, and so why does she have to switch on over to her pistol? I do not think that this would make IQ even remotely overpowered. This would basically just be a slight upgrade. The only reason I'm using her gadget now is to find Valkyrie cameras or maybe identify where the enemy pulse is. And while yes, this might be a bit of an upgrade so that you can take down pulse more effectively, you're not relying on your secondary weapon, she's already supposed to be the counter to pulse, and this just makes her a little bit better at doing that. The only thing I can think of for why Ubisoft might be hesitant to make this change is that they recently gave her the upgrade where her gadget can now see players who are peering through their camera. So if a Valkyrie is scanning a room, she's in a little corner, she doesn't realize that you're outside of the door, you can technically wall bang her with her gadget now, and so this would of course make her a little bit better if she could also use her assault rifle. The thing is though, is that while this has been a decent upgrade to IQ, one of the things I think that holds her back even more is that while, yeah, you could maybe figure out that that is a person peering through a camera, but more often than not, because there is so much going on your screen when you have her gadget on, it's almost impossible to actually identify what the hell you're looking at. I do not understand why I have to see my drones and teammates' drones be notified or pulsing when I peer through her gadget. Why is that a thing? It just clutters everything up. I don't know if I'm looking at a drone. I don't know if I'm looking through a camera. I don't know if it's an enemy pulse if they're standing still, because there's just so much going on. And so if they don't want to give this visor upgrade because they think that it would make her too good for whatever reason, at least get rid of all of the clutter, or at least a majority of the clutter, so I know what the hell I'm actually looking at when I'm peering through her gadgets. And so yeah, I agree with you. I think this would be a great step in the right direction. I don't think it would make her overpowered in the slightest, and I would love to see this happen to Rainbow Six Siege. The next question comes from Adam, and it is, would you like to see a game mode in Battlefield that each team has 32 players, and when you die, you can't spawn a game? It's like the real Battlefield. I don't know if that would really work for the Battlefield franchise. I mean, we had something like that similar in Battlefield 4. If you guys remember, Defuse was a game mode, and no one played on it. And while admittedly that could have been due in part because of a lot of reasons. When the game first released, hardly anyone played on it because there were loads of bugs. I think that like some teams could have way more players than others. You wouldn't spawn in sometimes. Like the game mode was flat out broken. And of course, as the game mode is broken at release, probably people aren't going to play it, and people are going to have no incentive to play it later. And so there just wasn't any interest there. And so I know that's not the best example that had that similar playstyle, but that was only like 5 versus 5. Can you imagine having to wait for 31 other teammates to either die or kill everyone else? I only have a feeling that people would leave that game mode constantly. Like, I died at the start. I'm not going to wait on this. I'm just going to find another server. I think that would happen over and over and over again. Like, I don't know. I mean, you could put a time limit on it so that people are more aggressive. They have to play the objective, because if you're not playing the objective, you just run out of time and your team automatically loses. Kind of something that we have in Rainbow Six Siege, but this doesn't seem like a Battlefield game mode. You also have to remember that, well, yeah, I guess it's kind of more realistic that you die and you're out for the rest of the game. When you die in Battlefield and you spawn back in, you're not the same character. You're not being resurrected from the dead. You're a brand new recruit. You're reinforcements. I mean, that's why they're called reinforcements and tickets. That's why when you die in Battlefield 4, it eats up one of those ticket reinforcements. And so I know that there are people out there that would like a more hardcore game mode like this. There are a lot of people that enjoy that kind of playstyle. I mean, hey, I love it in Rainbow Six Siege. I just don't know if that would work in Battlefield. But of course, that is just my opinion. The next question comes from Cody, and it is, what is your opinion on a defending operator that can use a landmine in Rainbow Six Siege, similar to a Capcan trap, but you can put it anywhere and it's harder to spot? Okay, the question I have for you is, why in the world would you ever want to play as Capcan at that point? If it does the same thing and blows someone up when they step on it, but you can place it anywhere, you're not restricted to just to doorways, so the enemy has to look out wherever they are, and it's also harder to spot, that just seems like a no-brainer, and you'd pick this guy over Capcan 100% of the time. I guess one argument that you could make is that it's a landmine, so they have to step directly on it. They can't just pass through a line and then blow up that way. But if you place it in a high-traffic location, eventually someone's going to step on it, and they're going to get that kill. I'm not really a fan of trap operators. I mean, I don't mind CanCan and Frost. I think that what they do okay. They make sure that offense needs to watch where they're walking, and sometimes they're going to kill that way. But I would much rather the game be focused on the first-person shooter component of it, and not just randomly dying to some explosion that you just didn't notice because it was covered by some debris. That is something that I don't really want to see for Rainbow Six Siege. And so while I know where you're coming from, I know that people have been trying to be creative with these ideas to bring in another trap operator, I'm kind of hoping that Ubisoft strays away from that style of operator, at least in the near future. But yeah, guys, that is it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you love the idea that Glaz is now going to have a thermal scope? Do you think that IQ deserves an upgrade? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.